What's going on there, folks? Good evening. It is the Earthmaster here on the live stream with an update video on this Friday evening, February 11th, 2022 is the date. About 8:06 p.m. California time, and the latest quake, a 2.7 earthquake out here around the big island of Hawaii, it looks like. Some movement kicking up here along the west coast here of the North American plate. Let's go ahead and check this out in a little bit more detail here on the latest USGS map as we kick this map up here, and you can see the activity striking out there in Hawaii with that 2.7 down there around the southeast flank. It looks like it looks like right around the Kilauea crater area. A little bit of movement kicking up around the Kilauea volcano. West Coast activity kind of ramping up as well. We just had within the last hour a little bit of earthquake activity around the Bay Area. San Leandro area, 3.3 at 3.7 kilometers, right smack dab on the dangerous Hayward fault zone. This area here very capable of producing a significant size earthquake. It runs parallel here with the San Andreas fault, and it runs through some major populated communities here. 3.3 was pretty shallow as well at about 3.7 kilometers. Have not seen any further aftershock sequences following this earthquake here along the Hayward fault. There is a significant info on this Hayward fault zone. Looks like 1868 was the last major earthquake here in the region of the Hayward fault zone. Hold on one second here, folks. And kind of looks like it was, what was the magnitude on this earthquake here? 1868. Let's see what we got here. There's quite a bit of info on it. It's about 119 kilometers long. Runs through the western base of the hills on the east side of San Francisco Bay. It's been quite a bit of time since the earthquake struck. Is there a magnitude on that earthquake?
I'm looking.
Back in 1868. Hayward earthquake. Let's go ahead and check it out here. Looks like estimated magnitude of about 7.0, according to the Wikipedia article. It occurred on the southern segment of the fault, receiving its name. Hayward. A lot of info on this earthquake here that occurred. The Hayward system. Let's see, the new findings means that the Rogers-Hayward system together could produce a quake with a magnitude as high as 7.2. It is also considered possible that a major seismic event on either fault may involve movement on the other, either concurrently or within an interval of up to several months. So kind of gives you an idea of how one fault can affect the other in a certain location here. So pretty significant fault system out there in California. Not for sure the accumulated stress amount here in this region, but definitely a major player out there in producing some significant sized earthquakes. That Hayward fault system is. Let's go ahead and check out what else is going on here. It's, like I say, it's a pretty major populated region. Let's go ahead and see what we got here for last 30 days of magnitudes here in the Bay Area. And the Hayward fault, there's not a whole lot there going on the map as far as 30 days of earthquakes go. It's actually been relatively quiet here. Hayward fault, of course, stretches up here into the North Bay, swinging all the way down south past the Fremont area into the Milpitas area, it looks like, just at the southern end, as kind of dwindles down here towards the Calaveras fault zone. Either way, it's a major issue when it comes to producing some significant future earthquakes here in the Bay Area. And it looks like there was another 3.1 earlier in February, a few days ago, it looks like. And just kind of off of this fault system here, just to the east. I don't know why they're not showing the faults on the smaller maps here, but it is what it is. So just gotta watch this area pretty closely, folks. 1868 is the last major rupture of the Hayward fault zone. So that's quite a bit of accumulated stress over the time in this region. Also looking at some swarming activity here south of Brentwood. We checked this out earlier on, and there's some fault systems around here, but they're kind of off to the north and to the east in that region. So it's not really taking place on any specific fault zones here in the Brentwood area. I looked this up already. I don't know if you can see that on your app or not. Did you see that little...
the swarm going on there?
Yeah, near Brentwood. I already checked this up on the USGS fault systems here, and I could not see. There's a couple that run to the west here, and a little bit here to the east.
There's the Midland fault zone, and then it's in between there and the Davis.
Yeah, so not specifically on any fault systems here
Yeah.
within this region. I know there's a few miles distance from the localized faults there, but either way, when you look at this movement here, swarms and activity on a major fault zone, kind of a eye opener, if you will, when it comes to watching this area for some larger movement potentially. One earthquake out here, Alum Rock, it looks like 4.4 kilometers for 1.2. But that earthquake struck, that 3.3 struck within the last hour. I'm kind of curious to see how many people felt it here in the Bay Area of California. Quite a few folks reported it all over the San Francisco Bay Area, it looks like. That's just a 3.3. Imagine a pretty significant size earthquake out there in that region. Looks like Concord areas up around Santa Rosa as well reported feeling that earthquake. Just some light shaking reported by the Did You Feel It reports. But wow. Either way, some interesting activity occurring out there in the Bay Area. Also up here in Northern California, these folks here not adding the earthquakes that have been showing up on the live seismographs. Although they did include one earthquake at 3.4 at 22.1 kilometers earlier, about 7:30 West Coast time here. I was watching some other activity here earlier in the afternoon, which has not been reported. So maybe they're only reporting 3.0 or above. Maybe the USGS only reporting the earthquakes that they feel needed here in this region. Although it's definitely happening. There's a lot of earthquake activity occurring in this area. Mount Shasta did see this activity kind of older from this morning. A couple of small quakes south of Mount Shasta in the McLeod area. Some fairly deep earthquake activity. Nothing significant, but some movement around Mount Shasta nonetheless. And some activity in the San Andreas Fault Zone along the creeping section, it looks like. Some activity down here near Soledad and Coalinga. Let's see what we got here. A couple small earthquakes here. Right along the San Andreas Fault Zone, the creeping section. Some pretty small microquakes, but some variable depths there of earthquakes taking place in that region of the plate boundary. Further down south, some movement, but I don't know. I think we're kind of watching the Bay Area right now, seeing some significant movement up there. Activity along the Imperial Fault Zone with 1.5 near Holtville, 9.1 kilometers, and some activity in a cluster once again around the Borrego Springs and the southern end here of the San Jacinto Fault Zone. Seeing a pretty good cluster of earthquakes there in the small microquake range. What else we got here? Up through the Sierra Nevada Ridgecrest region. All looking pretty typical for a day's work of earthquake activity out there. Not a whole lot going on. No major significant swarming or any strange activity at the moment. Right here northwest of Las Vegas. So this area has been swarming pretty good. Seen a little bit of activity scattered about the desert. Look at that movement here north of Las Vegas. About 237 earthquakes here. That's a large amount of earthquake activity here in the right around the Rock Valley Fault Zone.
Wow.
Let's see if we can look that up as far as that Rock Valley Fault Zone goes. A little bit of activity up here as well to the northeast of a, let's see what this one, Yucca Fault Zone out there in Nevada. Seen quite a bit of activity kicking up here. What do we got here for that activity?
I'm looking right now.
Let's see if we can look that up. Rock Valley fault zone. Should be some info on it out there. A little article put out here by the USGS. Not going to read through a major book. But it looks like they did put out quite a bit of info out there along that Walker Lane area. Pretty significant region for earthquake activity. Let's see here. What else we got? What do we got here from this guy? A whole bunch. Definitely a whole bunch, but
yeah, I'm not finding anything like any specifics.
Any specifics on this?
Other than just those articles too.
All right, we'll have to come back and check that out at another time. But definitely quite the swarm of activity kicking up there northwest of Las Vegas along this fault zone. Overall, though, just a general sign of major increase out here along the western part of the North American plate. So kind of why we're seeing the continued activity out here in these very scary fault systems here, the Hayward Fault and areas down south along the San Jacinto Fault Zone and the Elsinore Fault System over the last month or so. Something definitely building up for sure in this region. Just got to watch that pretty closely. Mount St. Helens still continues, folks, with some microquakes out here. 11 earthquakes in the Mount St. Helens area. We checked this out earlier, and they've been popping here with these little earthquakes. Just over the last week, we'll go the last 7 days of all magnitudes, about 31 earthquakes or so within this region. And back over the last 30 days or so, 106 earthquakes within the vicinity of Mount St. Helens, and just kind of a waiting game to see what this thing is doing. I did check the GPS systems up here with the Nevada GPS activity up here. Let's go ahead and go up into Washington, check out the Mount St. Helens region. See what we got here around this area. There's some stations that are not showing data since about 2014, similar to that station there. But we'll go up here to the other station here, and you can kind of see activity. Recent data, anyway, kind of shows a level amount of activity, except for right here at the end. There's something kind of, if we can zoom in a little bit, it shows kind of like a most recent activity. It looks like a decline, like a deflation, if you will, of the Mount St. Helens area. So that could be possible. That's what we're seeing with the earthquake activity over the last couple weeks or so. But we'll definitely continue to monitor that activity there at Mount St. Helens, as volcanoes seem to be pretty active along the Cascades recently. Up here outside of Mount Rainier, not a whole lot going on. Some small microquakes and some movement throughout the Intermountain West area, including Yellowstone, but nothing significant at the moment. What we got here for the Texas area? A little bit of activity out around Pecos, Texas, and the Oklahoma City area, north of there and south of there. And just don't really need to zoom in too much to show you guys what it's all about here. The Waukita Trend gas field and some further gas fields down south there throughout the Oklahoma area, producing those earthquakes there in the region. Puerto Rico, what do we got out here? Southwest area, Puerto Rico, showing some movement in the smaller range. Looks like a couple earthquakes here within the last hour, 2.4 and a 1.8 on the map. South America, pretty quiet. We don't see anything popping up here, at least on the USGS map. What do we got here along the Aleutian Trench kicking up here? We did see, what was that earthquake that came through?
4.0.
4.0. Fox Islands 4.0 striking there at 43 kilometers. A subduction zone earthquake here along the North American Pacific Plate boundary. There's some volcanic activity up here along these specific Aleutian Trench volcanoes, pretty shallow earthquake activity there. And also some movement out here around the Davidoff volcano, some volcanic activity out there as well. Nothing changed yet on the advisories as far as volcanic activity in the Aleutian Trench. Just some earthquake activity striking in that region and some subduction zone quakes over the last hour or so. One earthquake here, 4.8 off the coast of Russia into the Kuril-Kamchatka Trench at 92.3 kilometers. Still watching a swarm of activity here along the Taiwan area with quite a few 4s and even a 5.5 earthquake throughout the last 24 hours. A little bit of buildup here for sure in this region of the world and stretching down through the Philippines and the Papua New Guinea area with quite a few 5s kicking off. We did see some further movement around the Fiji area earlier with a 558 kilometer deep 4.4. Pretty deep movement there, but since then, nothing building up back behind it. All been kind of quiet since that earthquake there in the Fiji area. Big island of Hawaii. What do we got? Aside from the Kilauea volcano kind of ramping up a little bit there. Some deeper movement. Pretty deep there for the Kilauea volcano. 2.7 at 13.1 kilometers. That's kind of strange there for that region there with some deep earthquake activity. Southeast flank, typical deep movement here. There's one little earthquake well up here on the northern part of the Big Island at 2.0. Pretty deep movement, 31 kilometers for that earthquake. So a little bit of deeper movement taking place here underneath the Big Island of Hawaii over the last 24 hours. So what do we got? Mediterranean Sea and the Middle East all looking pretty quiet except for this older Turkey earthquake at 4.1 on the magnitude, and the Mid-Atlantic Ridge seeing some activity as well earlier. Nothing new has taken place since this older earthquake activity. What do we got for the tremor map tonight? Looking at 0 epicenters of tremor once again along the Cascadia subduction zone. Nothing to report there in the tremor department. Yellowstone National Park. Let's go ahead and check this out here real quick and see if we got any movement here. Kicking up, kind of slow there. Okay. Not a whole lot. We did see some further activity earlier today along the northwestern part around Madison. Shown some earthquake activity there in the very small microquake department. But overall, over the last few hours, things kind of mellowing out with really no new movement to report there in the region. Let's see what else we got. Earthquakes Canada. Let's go ahead and check out this map here real quick on the site. Nothing really over the last day or so. One earthquake, at least the last earthquake here from yesterday in the Alaska region with that 2.9. Otherwise, all across the board there in Canada, pretty quiet in terms of earthquake activity. All right, so what else we got going on here?
EMSC site. Have we checked that to see what's
Let's see if
going
these
on?
guys are reporting anything on the EMSC model. I don't believe there's too much difference here, but we'll check them out like we normally do. And that just kind of shows the general swarm over here in the Taiwan area. And one earthquake down here on the Middle America Trench. It looks like a 4.6 recent earthquake within the last hour. I don't believe the USGS has reported that. Let's go ahead and see if they have reported that earthquake. I do not see it. Look at that. Zip 0 from the USGS here.
Goodness.
But the EMSC definitely showing a 4.6 within the last hour. Not for sure why the USGS is being a little shady on that, but they, I don't know. These guys, they claim transparency, but we see earthquake activity up here along seismographs all the time in Northern California with, to no avail, nothing going on with the reporting. So just a little on the kind of sketchy side from a government agency, right?
Right. Some activity looks like in a little north of New Zealand too.
Is there some movement?
on their
on the EMSC model.
model.
Let's go ahead and see what we got here. Yeah, there's a couple 4s kicking off here. See 4.2, 4.1. Just another telltale sign of the transparency of the USGS. See what these guys are reporting. Quite the cluster up here north of New Zealand. Quite a few 4s kicking off here, and some 3s in the region of New Zealand. I know the map is kind of small. See if we can't zoom it up a little bit for a little bit better view. North Island, Kermadec Trench right here. Definitely a pretty good swarm of activity here. Quite a few 4s. And over the last day or so, I'm not understanding why the USGS is not reporting that. Look at that. These guys are reporting zip 0.
Nothing. It looks all too quiet when it really is not.
Right? It's kind of odd. It's almost like a...
It's so weird. Sometimes they report the floors and then they don't, and then the threshold is supposed to be 4.
It's supposed to be 4.0 and above for the international. So but hey, it's Friday, right? The USGS, right? Go out to dinner, enjoy the weekend. Don't have to worry about earthquakes. Let's see what else we got here, folks. So yeah, a lot of activity on the EMSC model kicking up. I'm not for sure what that kicked on or kicked up on. Let's bring that back down. We're going to do something a little bit different here with this update, folks. I know there's a lot of activity throughout the Middle American Trench area, and also the Peru-Chile Trench as well. Look at that swarm of activity over here. Quite a few 3s. So it looks like, at least on the USGS map, we see the 4s as well, but there's a bunch. There's a bunch of 3s kicking up all up and down the Philippines area and the Mariana Trench, or at least to the west of the Philippine Plate as well when it comes to earthquake activity. So got to watch that forward movement to the west pretty closely. Looks like something could be potentially building up here along the Java Trench with all this westward movement. So we're going to take a couple of quick questions here, folks, while we're on the live stream. Something that we kind of do. Going to start kicking into a little bit, I guess, when it comes to the update video. So if you have any questions, let us know here in the comments below. We're kind of watching the live stream at the moment. Actually, are you on the live stream?
Yes, I am.
Okay. So if you see anything pop up, let me know. That way we don't just pop up the live stream. Look at that right there. Look at the little earthquake activity in the Tonga region. So you guys have any questions on any earthquake activity, solar weather, space weather, let us know now in the live stream. And Missy Mimi's is on top of that right now to voice out any questions that people have out here. Just kind of going to do that here at the end of the update videos on the weekend. That way we could kind of switch things up a little bit, kind of make it a little bit more interesting here. But we do have a 4.9 coming into the Tonga Ridge. Excuse me. Still have a cough. Yes. Down at the Tonga Trench area. Pretty shallow earthquake activity there at about 10.0 kilometers for that earthquake. Kind of a little bit of heightened back building here on this region.
So someone asked, Unceasing 451 said, is the San Jacinto Fault the new boundary fault in SoCal?
New boundary fault for the San Andreas Fault, I guess, is what they're mentioning. Well, if you really think about it, I have heard some geologists and whatnot talking about this, how they believe potentially that a new plate boundary could be forming down here along the southern part of Southern California here. So basically, we haven't seen too much movement, no large earthquake activity here along the southern part of the San Andreas Fault. And it could be because there is a new plate boundary possibly forming here with the San Jacinto Fault area, which kind of extends all the way up here to the about the northern end of the southern end of the San Andreas Fault, if that makes sense, and extending all the way down here, kind of bypassing, if you will, this area. So it's very possible. There's no 100% certainty on if this is occurring, but I think it's possible that we could be seeing that with all the earthquake activity recently and the lack of activity here in the San Andreas Fault. So no definite answer on that, but that's a pretty good question there. No more questions?
Not at this moment.
Alrighty.
If anyone has any questions, guys, drop it in the comments below and on the live stream, and we will answer them live.
But that's a pretty good question there, because plate boundaries kind of can, maybe reposition themselves there if you really think about it.
Yeah, NCC 451 said if you look back over the past 50 years, you can almost see the shift.
The shift of the transformation of the plate boundary here?
Yeah.
Yeah. Could be possible. I remember reading an article here about the Walker Ridge, how Nevada could be oceanfront property, I don't know, 1 million years or so in the future. So very possible that could be taking place here. I mean, look at that. Just over the last 1 day, look at all the earthquake activity. We could go back over the last 30 days and see a significant amount of movement here along the San Jacinto Fault area. This could be a dead fault zone here. San Andreas Fault could be dead.
So they could be
here in this area.
They could be saying the big one's going to happen there, but really maybe it shifted over to
the west here.
The west here.
Although there's some activity here. See this? See all that movement down here on the Imperial Fault and the Brawley seismic zone. So something's happening. Definitely going to be happening here pretty soon. I feel like it in the Southern California region, and I think maybe from there we'll find a little bit more of a definite answer when it comes to that question.
Cindy says channel followers have asked what the box, lines, colors, target, and bubbles mean to the globe. Basically about the globe, 3D globe.
So the box lines, read that again.
So she said they want to know what the box is.
The box is the latest earthquake. If you guys are talking about the little box in the upper right-hand corner, shows the latest earthquake, the date that it struck, the time, the depth, the longitude, and latitude.
Okay, they want to know line, colors, target, and bubbles. So I'm guessing maybe about the
colors of the rings.
The colors and the rings.
Okay, so pretty much the latest earthquake on the globe is going to be in the green flag. That's going to have a white ring. These other rings that are near this site, near the 4.9, are kind of pink, at least on this end of the screen, kind of giving the age of the earthquake here on the globe. This is the last 24 hours of earthquake activity listed here on the globe. So the darker the color of the rings, indicating the age of the earthquake on here on the Earthquake 3D globe. So, for example, over here along the Indonesia Islands area, that's some old earthquake activity here striking within this region due to the red color rings. Now, specifically about the domes, if you will, those are just kind of a added feature here to the earthquakes. I can disable them, enable them. It just kind of looks cool there because they grow with the size of the magnitudes. Like, for example, this, 4.9 down there shows a little bit of a globe, but when you get into the larger earthquakes here, you can kind of see how the globe, and they're kind of blue on this end, the globe, if you will, kind of grow in magnitude. So I've seen this thing kind of look pretty cool when there's an 8.0 earthquake and you get this major globe over the area. It's just kind of neat little feature that the Earthquake 3D program offers in that region. And the depth of these earthquakes, if these rings are raised off of the globe, such as the 4.4 earthquake right there in the blue flag, it's pretty well raised off the globe, indicating a very deep depth off the globe, off the surface. But this is depth. So we're looking at 4.4 at 558 kilometers there on the depth of that earthquake. So yeah, that's pretty much about it on the globe feature.
Kathleen wants to know if we could allow comments again without a wait. Those experiencing earthquakes need access. I think she's talking about the
subscriber
mode.
Yeah, we kind of enabled that because of the amount of bot activity we've been actually receiving here on the live stream. It's been somewhat overwhelming for the moderators, and I've been trying to keep up on it as well. But yeah, we'll redo that and see if we can't enable that that feature once again for the new subscribers. Right now, I have it set for 3 days. Got to be a subscriber for at least 3 days before you can comment here, but it does kind of make sense, right? If you're a new subscriber, you kind of want to join in on chat and chat about your experience. So we will definitely enable that right after this update to the new subscribers.
Chris Georgie, he wants to know, do you know how the variations in tones of the audio alert map to various parameters by chance?
Do I know what? Do I know what? Do you know? Okay. Read that again.
It says, do you know how the variations in tones of the audio alert map to various parameters?
How do they map to the parameters? So basically on the globe, the tones itself are just in a reply to the magnitude. Like if you hear, is he talking about the bells?
I'm guessing.
Yeah. So the bell feature is just in relation to the magnitude number. Like for example, this earthquake that struck along the Northern California coastline earlier, a 3.0, a 3.4 would be 3 bells. So I think that answers that question. I'm not for sure what else that would refer to.
If you're meaning anything else, Chris, please just
let us know.
Just drop it
Definitely
in there.
let us know.
Yeah.
Because the only audio feature that we have here on the live stream is indeed the earthquake 3D bells, which comes as the earthquakes come in.
Does anybody else have any questions?
Any more questions, concerns, any suggestions? We're open to constructive criticism as well. Let us know. It's all good. Let us know what's on your mind.
Oh, Free said, the Earthmaster, the bells, do they have variations themselves? Like in sound, do you mean, Free? Or are
we able to adjust them, like different types of sounds?
Yeah, I'm wondering if that's what they mean.
I'm not for sure. But if just to answer that, no, there's at least on the Earthquake 3D program, there's only at least the default program comes with the audio that you hear on the live stream. I'm not for certain if we can change that or not. It's a pretty good question because it would be cool to switch those, maybe switch those up once in a while. Say, for example, if there's a 7.0 or an 8.0 earthquake or a 9.0, we could have like a different alarm come off, like a whoop, 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 like something different than the typical bell feature, which would be kind of cool. I'll check into that. Thanks for that question.
Yeah, they're basically asking and he said, does it represent depth with a pitch of alert tone or something like that? No,
that does not. It only tells you the magnitude.
But yeah, Free, basically what he just said, we can check into that to see if we can change tones depending on the magnitude.
That would be cool. It'd be pretty neat if we could.
I think I've seen it done, but I don't know how it's done. So I guess we will definitely look into
check
that.
into that for sure.
Because that would be nice to have just another sound come in.
Mm-hmm.
Like, oh man, that's a big one coming in, You can hear it across the house.
Like an alert 9.0. Right? That'd be kind of cool.
Right.
What else we got here, folks? Any other questions?
Let's see.
The silence. Do you want me singing? Should I sing?
Yes.
No. I'm not going to sing out here tonight. Friday night. I don't want to lose a bunch of subscribers.
Last time you sang, I think you gained subscribers.
I probably gained one.
We were all on the live stream that night.
I know.
That was a good night. Woo! Our dabbing chicken.
I remember that.
Yep, me and Free were just doing that right now. Cindy wants to know if we're getting a tour at the geysers.
We need to contact the info. I have received a couple emails from a few folks that know about that area. One person mentioned that the reason why I was getting some shadiness from some folks down there is because I guess Calpine, the owner of that whole thermal energy plant down there, I guess they were sued recently because of the earthquake damage and because of the the earthquakes that they are producing, they're creating, caused some damage to local residences down there. But we are going to look into getting a tour of the plant here real soon. Weekends probably not possible, but we will be looking into that very soon because that's pretty cool. I really want to go down there and see it, and I hope they will give us a tour. I mean, I'm sure they won't allow video cameras and whatnot in there. Who knows? Maybe they will. If they do, then we'll definitely be recording that.
Broken Wrench said you should head back to the Salton Sea before it gets hot.
I'm good. The Salton Sea is not a place I want to visit again. It's pretty it's a little sketchy down there. It stinks for one.
You kind of came back not feeling that good.
I know. I had a headache, a major headache for an extended period of time while I was down there. And I was only down there for what, a day or so?
About a day, yeah. And
but I was out there on the beach of Salton Sea, all around there with my windows down, just breathing in that air, and it sucked. What else we got?
Broken Wrench said go check out Hell's Kitchen at the Salton Sea geothermal power and lithium mining operation.
Oh.
Hot and stinky. That's
yeah, it was pretty bad. It was definitely pretty bad. What else we got? Any more questions out there, folks? I'm just kind of looking through the GPS out here. It's kind of cool to check out this GPS network of GPS stations, right? Kind of tells you a telltale sign of what's going on underneath the ground. Yellowstone been kind of declining out there recently. I haven't checked this latest one out. That's kind of spotty. Got any more questions going on here?
Nothing yet, but we didn't check solar weather while we were...
Solar weather?
Yeah, that's one thing we
Yeah, it's kind of little on the... Well, we got G1 storm coming in. Looks like it's done, though. Looks like we're calming down with that activity there on the KP index. Although, over the next couple nights or so, a little increase in the geomagnetic forecast there. Over the higher latitudes, 30% chance there on the 14th, Valentine's Day there of mid-latitude potential. But flaring, it looks like they've amped this up a little bit, 15% chance of an M flare over the sunspots here, but nothing significant popping up here. Looks like, well, this one's grown pretty quickly, 2946 there, maybe growing to produce some cool stuff here in the coming days as we get the rotation on the Earth side. 2941 still got a little potential for that flaring, but that will be facing away from Earth here pretty soon.
Let's see. Chris says, anything interesting around Tahoe on the GPS deformation network lately?
That's a good question. We'll check that out while we're on it here. GPS. Of course, on the north end of Lake Tahoe, we have seen a little bit of earthquake activity right on the North Shore recently. We can check out this movement here, see what we got. A lot of the station activity is older, from 2020. See what we got here on the northern end. GPS stations here showing eastward movement, decline, north decline as well. vertical displacement, as far as upward trend, a little bit looks like towards 2022, towards the beginning of this year. It seems like almost entirely along the west coast, we've seen a kind of an upward trend at various locations, kind of like in a big way. But see what else we got here in this area of Lake Tahoe. Beautiful area, no doubt. Truckee area. Let's go ahead and check out Truckee. Of course, one of the highest spots up there around Donner Summit. See what these guys are looking at. Major decline in eastward movement. North as well. There's that upward trend there. It looks like since about 2019. But recently, 2022 showing a downward trend on the vertical displacement there of the Lake Tahoe and the Truckee area. It looks like.
Yeah, Chris says it's been shaking up near his claims and around the lake lately.
Lake Tahoe has definitely seen quite a bit of movement there in the North Shore. We'll check out the last 30 days of activity in this area. And we'll go ahead and kick this up here. Quite a bit, right? Look at that little swarm of movement here. West of the Kings Beach area, Tahoe Vista up here to the just to the northeast. Nothing significant. But remember that swarm of activity they had underneath? Yeah. You actually did a pretty good update on it last year, right? Beginning of last year. You talked about the fault systems throughout this area.
Yeah, the Kings Valley Fault, I believe it is, right? Yeah.
I can't remember exactly what it was.
The Carson City Fault, it like runs into 4 segments all the way down to the Genoa Fault, I believe it was. So it all is basically one fault system broken into 4 segments.
4 separate segments?
Yeah, it starts up there around Reno and works its way down into this area here.
Down south
down
here.
In there, yeah. And it runs all the way through there. So, very capable of producing, I believe it was a magnitude 7.4, if I remember correctly. So, definitely capable. That dollar point area is capable of producing some quakes too.
Let's see here. I'm just looking at some info here on the Lake Tahoe area. Let's go ahead and go back since about we'll enter a crazy number here, 1400. Right, we'll draw a little rectangle out here on the map around the Lake Tahoe region while we wait for some more questions out here. See if I can get this built up here around Lake Tahoe. See what we got here in this region here. Just kind of fun looking at past historical earthquake activity. I just kicked 5.0 and above, and there's not a whole lot. Look at that, 5.0 and above. Nothing really except for that 6.3 back in 1857. That's up here in the north here. Okay, that's pretty big earthquake. I'd hate to be around the Reno area in those tall casinos. Especially when we got a 6.3 striking up there. But looks like Lake Tahoe area back in 1877 had a 5.5 earthquake. So it's possible we can definitely see some larger earthquakes up here along the eastern part of the Sierra Nevada. Haven't seen nothing in recent times, so it's there. Definitely the possibility is there for sure. That's pretty crazy, 6.3.
Wow.
Not a whole lot of info on it for sure, but back in wow, it's crazy. What else we got? Any?
He also wants to know if we can check the GPS sites at Three Sisters.
Three Sisters, still kind of. We'll check these out here real quick. We'll go into the region of the Three Sisters volcano, and it takes a couple days, a couple weeks for this latest GPS info to pop up here around the Three Sisters area. Let's see here. Let's go ahead and zoom in here. South Sister, of course, around the southwest flank here is where we're kind of looking at the bulge, if you will, of the activity.
Well, up looks like it's
There's a south sister here. This goes 2016, so that's kind of a older activity. Hopefully these guys didn't pull the data. Didn't I check that one right here?
I think one of them around
Yeah, that's
here.
the 2016 one.
Let's check.
I'm kind of surprised that's not working here.
The one further up, maybe to the north.
2000. Here we go. The north isn't really where the bulge is happening, though. It's kind of on this west-southwest edge, and definitely still seeing that upward trend here. But it's going to take a little bit here to, and they don't even really have the 2022 mark on here, so not for sure when they're going to update this, but there was definitely a trend, major upward trend right there, as you can see at the end of 2021. See if check down here. I mean, once we get further away, it's really pretty much irrelevant because we can't really see the data. You check this one up here to the north. These guys, what do we got here? 2022 on this map here kind of looks like you definitely see that upward trend here at 2022. See all those dots there pointing towards the up. But even then, this station right here is kind of a distance away from that bulge area. The bulge itself down here around the South Sister region, down here along the southwest edge. So about the closest we can get is this activity right here. And it doesn't show the latest 2022 model. But there is that upward trend in a big way. See that red line there indicating that recent movement.
Ethan... It asks, are there any other earthquake reporting systems that might be reporting the activity off the Northern California and Southern Oregon coasts that we could see?
That's kind of odd because I have been watching the data on the live seismographs, obviously, from the Mendocino station. Whoa, what did we do there? Hold on a second here. And you can see right there on Mendocino an earthquake already popping up here. See that right here?
Yeah.
Not a big one, but it's definitely an earthquake nonetheless. It's probably a very small microquake. We've seen ones that have flat-lined. I'm not for sure why are all those like that. There we go. But we have seen earthquakes flatline the Mendocino station there, and USGS not reporting it. So I do check the EMSC. We don't see them reporting it either. We'll go ahead and go over here and double check the EMSC model. So I'm not for sure if there's like a complete blackout on earthquake activity in Northern California. I do find it pretty odd that the USGS is not reporting it, nor the EMSC. But seismograph stations pick up earthquakes, and obviously I know how to read the seismograph stations, but they're not being reported by any of the agencies out here. EMSC or the USGS station here. Hold on one second here, folks, while we get this to load. There's just that one that was reported, the 3.1 off the coast. But there's other, like I said, between last night and as we're speaking right now, I've seen quite a few spikes on the Mendocino station, and there should be activity here being pulled up here on the board. Whether it's microquake activity or not, it's not being reported. That's a simple fact here along the northern California coastline.
And on the past few weeks, all of the stations, basically almost every station in that region has gone quiet. So they've literally shut them down.
Yeah, I'm having a little bit of hard time accessing my normal typical seismograph stations, such as Petrolia, and there's another station called Dinsmore. So the live seismographs that I'm accessing is kind of getting harder to access. So I'm hoping they don't pull the Mendocino station either. Now that I'm kind of monitoring that area for activity. Any other questions popping up here? Got a 5.0 in the Solomon Islands currently coming in.
Yep. Someone,
right there.
Danielle just said that.
On the,
I'm guessing the EMSC reported first.
Kind of weird about the 5.0. About the time the 5.0 comes in, we get movement over here along the Northern California coastline on the seismograph. So, But yeah, 5.0 coming into the Solomon Islands area. Kind of filling in the blank spots here of the region.
definitely a lot of activity on that side. Any more questions, guys? Because
we're going to wrap it up here. We're coming up on almost an hour long update, so kind of our longer ones, but it's something cool, something that we'll kind of include more often on the weekend updates. It's kind of hard with the kids here to do a super lengthy video like this. Yes. But, you know, not complaining about the kids because we love when the kids are here, but they're kind of off tonight with their other, and you know, we got a little time here to extend the update video and take any questions or answers or comments or criticism, whatever.
I'll give you a question.
What's your question?
Can you explain how the seismographs work for our viewers so they know how to read them?
Well, you can't really specifically see or try to guess out a magnitude when it comes to the earthquake activity. For example, like this earthquake that's coming in here to the Mendocino station here. I look at it and I see a spike. Let me show you guys here. Not this station, but the station down here. I see an earthquake right here, but it's a very small one. It's either significantly far away or very deep. So it's kind of hard to decipher a magnitude on here unless we see an earthquake strike Mendocino, California, and also shows up down here in Barrett, California. That would tell me right there that the earthquake is probably rather large because it's being picked up on a distant seismograph station. But there's no specific way to guess a magnitude on this program that I use to monitor the seismographs. But just know that a localized earthquake here on these seismograph stations will completely flatline this width of the readings, this width of the data that's coming in. It's like that's a very small earthquake. It's not flatlining it, but a larger earthquake or a very localized earthquake will flatline pretty much any seismograph station out there.
All right. Well, no more questions so far, so I think we could wrap it up. Maybe.
We'll wrap it up before we turn into a 2-hour show. But but yeah, thanks for the questions and comments. And like I said, we'll try to do this on occasion. Friday night, we got a 3.8 coming into the Red Sea right now. Let me check here on the EMSC model. That's kind of the earthquake app that I'm using here on my phone currently. Let's see what we got here. Bring this up here. EMSC model for the map. I don't see it. It's weird. It came into the seismograph 3.8 in the Red Sea.
The Red Sea? Let's see.
Let me look here on the map. See exactly. Let me look here. 3.8. So that's just off. Wait a minute. No, that's
there
not
it is.
That's over here around the Mediterranean Sea. So
yeah, it's a
roughly within this area of the European model. Let's see if they're reporting it here down on the on this map. There we go. In the purple circle here indicating that's kind of an odd area down there. See that? We haven't seen too much movement down there. 3.8. I think we're firmly looking at quite a bit of pressure working its way to the west. I mean, all this activity here. Look at another earthquake down here. All this activity here working its way to the west here. Moving throughout this region here, kind of putting a lot of pressure in this region. But areas that we haven't seen a lot of activity here is the Java Trench here. It's been relatively quiet, but I can only assume that this area and the Indian Ocean area probably in quite a bit of strain with all this recent activity here over the last 24 hours. All right, folks, we're going to jump off here. Have a great night, and we'll definitely see you back here tomorrow sometime, and we'll do this question and answer show the best we can. We'll try to do it every Friday night. I'm not going to do it every night. Hour-long updates every night, yeah. But we'll definitely do it every Friday night, so I look forward to that. And we will chat you guys a little bit later. Please stay safe out there. Forgot about our barbecue.
Right.
Hopefully it's not burnt.
Right.
left some lamb chops out there on the barbecue, so we'll see how they are.
Have a good night, guys.
Peace out.